Hello and welcome to Coffee with the Principals. This is a lot of coffee. I'll tell you what, I'm having a Pike Place roast right now. It's a venti. It's amazing. And we're going to dig into updates to the PBIS Discipline Handbook ooh, that's hot, while I drink through this. So let's get into it. So we've been working with a bunch of different teams from all over the building to really explore and unpack the PBIS handbook. We've gotten some really good feedback and we've made some really solid changes, and we want to share some of those updates with you. So one of the first things you'll notice when you get into the PBIS handbook, and we are going to make this a little easier to find. We've gotten some feedback that was difficult to locate because it's on the G drive. So we're going to work on making this a little more transparent, a little more publicly accessible to everybody. One of the things you'll notice is that now the matrix actually includes intervention transitions. So what it's going to look like and sound like to be safe, to be kind, and be productive when you're helping your students transition between intervention in the classroom. So really looking in at going directly to that designation, having materials, moving quietly, using that, making sure you're keeping your hands and your feet to yourself. So that's in addition to our matrix that we're pretty excited about. The next thing that we're working on is really, we unpacked some other crisis response plans from other buildings. And one of the really cool things that we saw was a color system. So one of the other schools actually has a green, a yellow, and a red system for indicating what kind of assistance is needed in any situation. So that green, if you call down to the office to extension 4300 and you say, hey, I've got a green issue, that is going to say to us, hey, this is non-emergency, but you do want one of the administrators to pop in and have a conversation with you. And that might be something like you've got a student who's been swearing at other students, refusal to follow the directions. Maybe that student needs a break. You're monitoring that and you're tracking that with that minor incident report form, but you also just want to make sure that we're aware of that in the office. So that is the code you would use. You'd say green. Next, we have yellow. Coffee. Yellow, that is to communicate that a situation has the potential to either escalate or it has concluded recently. So this would be something like a student is leaving the classroom without permission. It's not something that we need to respond to instantly, like immediately, but we do need to know that in the office so we can kind of keep an eye open and start doing some tracking of that. It's also for situations that the office just needs to kind of be aware of and that we will respond to as soon as any other emergency situations have concluded. So if we have another red situation kind of going on, then we're able to respond to the yellows and the greens in a correct order. So yellows would include things like a student who's refusing to come in from recess, or there's been a fight. Maybe it was at recess, maybe it was in the hallway, but everybody's calmed down, but a fight did occur. There was some sort of interaction that was inappropriate, and staff would like us to respond administratively to follow up and ensure that discipline is followed through on. So that's a yellow. A red situation. That is an urgent crisis that requires an immediate response from our crisis response team. So that means if you call and you call 4300 and you say, hey, this is room XYZ and we have a crisis situation and it's red, I've got a fight in progress, then we're going to drop what we're doing and we're going to respond as urgently as possible. So that would be a scholar has a weapon, somebody has left property, there's a fight that's actually in process, somebody's actually physically fighting. And it's more than just someone, kicks somebody and then walks away. It's an ongoing active fight. A scholar has made a threat to hurt themselves or others, or there's an illegal substance. These are red situations that are super urgent, and we need to drop what we're doing and respond as quickly as possible. If we are in the process of working through a green or a yellow, then we'll kind of put that on hold and respond to that red response as quickly and urgently as possible. You'll also notice as you go through the PBIS Handbook that there have been some changes to the contingency plans. So as you look through, you'll see that I'm now the primary responder, and we're looking at how Erica, Leslie, and Kelsey will be responding as necessary, and that is all determined by prearranged schedule. Really working hard to make sure that there's no disruption to the other services that we are providing to our staff and our scholars. And there's also been some changes to the flowchart. So that now includes the use of the minor incident report. So that minor incident report is something we discussed in a prior video. This is something that classroom teachers will be using as well as our specialists. So if a scholar is a specialist and there's a minor incident report, they will actually have the specialist will have a minor incident report that they fill out. It's a one-pager, and they turn into you at some point during the day, and you can attach it to your incident report. So if they noticed an issue of non-compliance, you can staple that, and that kind of gets added to that student total. Because remember, 3 minors, and then on the 4th it becomes elevated to administratively managed. So when they get to that 4th one, if it's for non-compliance or disrespect or whatever it is, when they get to that 4th one, it gets elevated to administration. Hey, and that is our podcast, Coffee with the Principals. That was updates to the PBIS Discipline Handbook. I'm going to finish this coffee. I'm going to do some edits, and I will see you guys next week. Hope you have a good one.